Good morning, children. Now today I'm going to explain you chapter 9, the poem The Rainbow Fairies. Okay? The Rainbow Fairies is written by L.M. Hadley. Okay? Now let us see what the poet is trying to tell us in the beginning of the poem. Do clouds cry? Read this poem about two clouds that began to cry. Find out who cheered them up. Now, do clouds cry? No, clouds do not cry. But you have to read this poem about two clouds that began to cry. Now, the poet is making the two clouds like human beings. Okay? So, these two clouds, they started crying. And at the end, let us see who cheered them up. Cheered them means who made them happy. Okay, who made the two clouds happy? Now I'm going to read each verse, read, recite, and then explain you verse by verse. Okay, so verse 1. Two little clouds, one summer's day, went flying through the sky. They went so fast they bumped their heads and both began to cry. Now, there were two little clouds, okay, and what did they do? It was a summer's day and they went flying through the sky. Now, it was a very, very hot day because it was a summer season and they were flying across the sky. They went very, very fast and they bumped their heads. Now, listen, children, when you also don't see where you're going, okay, you just run. You bump against something or somebody and you bump your head and then you also begin to cry. So the same way the clouds also began to cry. Maybe they got hurt. Okay, they did not see where they were going. Verse 2. Old Father Sun looked out and said, "Oh, never mind, my dears. I'll send my little fairy folk to dry your falling tears." Now, the father was the sun, and he was an old man. That is why the poet has written Old Father Sun. Now, what did he do? He looked out, and when he saw the two clouds crying, he said, "Oh," now he was very, very sad to see the two clouds crying. He said, "Never mind, my dears," because he was trying to cheer up the two clouds. He said, "Never mind, my dears. I'll send my little fairy folk now to dry your falling tears." Now he was going to send fairies. Folk means people. To dry the falling tears, to wipe away the tears of the clouds, the two clouds, because the clouds were crying and they're crying so much that they had a lot of tears. Okay, a lot of tears were falling from their eyes. Okay, now verse 3. One fairy came in violet and one wore indigo. In blue, green, yellow, orange, red, they made a pretty row. Now, one fairy came in violet. Now, what is the poet trying to tell us? Now, this first fairy who came, she came in a violet colored dress. See, the dress the fairy is wearing is a violet colored dress. Okay, this color is violet. So, she came in violet colored dress and she was the first one to come and wipe the clouds' tears. Now, the next fairy who came and one wore indigo. Now, what is this wore? Wore means to wear. Okay? Wore is the past tense of wear. So, she wore an indigo colored dress. So, the next fairy was wearing an indigo colored dress. The next fairy who came was wearing a blue colored dress. Okay? Fourth fairy in green. Then yellow, orange, and red. They made a pretty row. Now these fairies were standing, they were in a row. They came to wipe away the clouds' tears and they made such a pretty row. Now, why did they make such a pretty row? Because their dresses were all the colors of the rainbow. So that is why the poem's name is also the Rainbow Fairies, because they were wearing rainbow colored dress. Okay, each fairy was wearing a rainbow colored dress. Okay, then the last verse, they wiped the clouds' tears all away, and then from out the sky, upon a line, the sunbeams made, they hung their gowns to dry. Now, these fairies came, they wiped the clouds' tears. Now, see how the fairies are wiping the clouds' tears? Okay, so they wiped the clouds' tears all away. Now, all the tears that the clouds were shedding, the fairies, they wiped all the tears. Upon a line, the sunbeams made, they hung their gowns to dry. Okay, now what did the fairies do? They wiped away all the clouds' tears, and suddenly from out the sky, the sunbeams, you know what are the sunbeams? Sunbeams are rays of the sun. Okay, the rays that come from the sun. Now they made a long line. Now, why did they make a long line? Because they wanted the fairies to dry their gowns. Gowns are those dresses of the fairies. Now, when your mummy washes her clothes, she takes the clothes outside and she hangs all the clothes on a clothesline. Now, here the sunbeams made a long line for the fairies to hang their gowns to dry. And who dried the gowns? The sun. Okay? And the sunbeams made a long line so that the fairies could dry their gowns.